In the previous step, we set up the compatibility equation just generically. You can see the symbolic part up here, which then symbolically the solution, we're trying to solve for these redundant reactions, then is the inverse of the flexibility matrix times then the displacement vector that we have of the original displacements subtracting off the primary ones. Right? Now remember that the 2 by 2 involves the determinant when you want to take the inverse of it, and that determinant is to multiply the major diagonal and subtract off the minor or the off diagonal, and so we end up with L times L cubed over 3, or L to the 4th over 3 minus L 4th over 4 for a net of L 4th over 12. And then the inverse itself then involves taking 1 over the determinant, and then you swap the roles of the off or the major diagonal, and then swap the roles of the off diagonal, but you also put a minus sign in there, so that we end up with, in our case then, we also have this EI constant here, and we have the determinant as L4 over the 12, so when we take 1 over that, we get 12 EI over L to the 4th, swap the roles of the major diagonal, swap the roles of the off diagonal, and put a minus sign in here, and here are the then displacements that we determined up here. And note that our EIs are going to end up canceling out in each case. That's usually the case for these situations unless we had a known support movement or a relationship with the support movement that did not include EI. Right. Now it's just left to perform the matrix math here. We'll go ahead and write these out individually. Our R1 then, we've got after the EIs cancel out, we've got 12 over L to the 4th. The 5 over 48 PL cubed times the L becomes 5 PL to the 4th over 48, and then minus L squared over 2 times PL squared over 8. And so with that, fortunately, the L's are going to go away, work through the math, and we end up with P over 2, which we'll come back to in the next step on the reflection step and talk about how that actually makes a lot of sense. And then we do the same thing for R2, 12 over L to the 4th times the minus L squared over 2, and then that's times the 5 PL cubed over 48. That's sitting here. Notice we get L to the 5th now. And then the same thing with the other term. Boy, you got to be really careful, follow through all the math. 3 times the 24 is or 3 times the 8 is the 1 over 24 that we have here. That'll work itself out to be PL when we factor that out, right? L to the 5th over L to the 4th. And then we have a minus 5/8 plus 1/2, and we end up with a negative PL over 8. Again, in the next step, we will talk about the meaning of both of those as we go through, but this is the math to having found just the reactions that are at the far right.